Can you trace any warp signatures or starships near the planet?
Not a single one.
I can, however, confirm that based on audiophonic degradation, the transmission has been broadcasting on a loop for 200 years.
That's before warp was even invented.
Somebody want to tell me how they got here?
Hey friends, Greg here with our breakdown for Star Trek Discovery Season 2, Episode 2, New Eden. Now be sure to subscribe for more Star Trek Discovery videos, and warning, there are spoilers ahead, so go watch the episode first. New Eden features the return of Star Trek TNG veteran #1 himself, Jonathan Frakes, behind the camera. The longtime Trek director and star also directed the Discovery episode Despite Yourself, and he will also direct the 9th episode of the new season.
Very nice.
This week, the Spore drive has returned as Pike sees no reason why the Federation wouldn't approve the use of the drive to figure out what the hell the red signals are. I'm so sorry, Stamets.
You never forget your first, sir.
When the crew jumps out of warp, there's no red signals again, but there is a distress transmission from a Class M planet that's been broadcasting on loop for 200 years. Pike, Burnham, and Oosakun head down to the planet and locate the distress signal beneath a church. And as the title suggests, New Eden dives right into Faith and the Prime Directive. The episode focuses on the crew's undercover mission on an alien world, as we've seen multiple times throughout the Trek canon, including the classic TNG episode Who Watches the Watchers.
Now, how would she react to you?
I think she would fear me.
Just as you fear me.
And the plot of the crew encountering humanoid aliens on an Earth-like planet draws inspiration from TOS episodes Bread and Circuses and Miri. Also, let's not forget about the time when Captain Archer encountered a colony of humans on an old West-like planet on Enterprise episode North Star.
But just before the explosions, an angel appeared to them, surrounded by pillars of fire, and delivered our church and those taking shelter in it here to Terrelysium.
Now, how did those humans get all the way out there? On the planet Terrelysium, the team quickly learns that the humans were likely beamed over from Earth during the Third World War in 2053 by a highly advanced alien race, and we'll get back to who we think they might be a little later. Meanwhile, back on Discovery, after being blasted by Metreon particles from an asteroid fragment sample, Tilly starts talking to a ghost of her childhood friend May Ahern, who died in 2252 at the age of 16. On the bridge, Disco learns that there are radioactive particles falling to the planet that can bring, as Lieutenant Detmer states,
an extinction-level event.
Back on the planet, Pike quickly realizes that the less time spent there, the better. So they plan to just turn off the distress signal and beam out. Of course, that would be way too easy, as Jacob quickly learns that the team is not from his planet. Thanks to Tilly's ghost buddy, she comes up with the plan to use the dark matter asteroid from the ship's shuttle bay to pull the radioactive particles from the planet. With the help from Stamets, the plan goes off without a hitch. Okay, let's go over a few Easter eggs and things we noticed in the episode. Checking back in on Spock, it seems he was having nightmares and he drew the red burst signals 2 months before Pike and Disco picked them up. Also, we learned that he was put in the psych unit on Starbase 5 a week after he took leave under his own request. The arrival of humans on New Eden coincides with World War III on Earth, which according to Star Trek history went from 2026 to the year 2053. Now, one thing to take of note, while the Vulcans are aware of the war, they did not intervene during the course of World War III, as they perceived it to be a local problem and they shouldn't get involved. It seems someone else didn't agree.
My love is a fever, longing still for that which longer nurseth the disease.
Next up, this wouldn't be Star Trek without a little Shakespeare. When Pike, Saru, and Burnham are discussing the problems on Terrelysium, Pike says,
There are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio.
Now, Hamlet has been quoted multiple times throughout Trek history, including TNG and Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country. Now, that direct Horatio line actually has a long history in Trek, as Trek historians have pointed out that line was referenced multiple times in behind-the-scenes documentation from the making of Star Trek the original series, yet it never made the final scripts, and it wasn't until Star Trek Enterprise that the quote was used on screen in Star Trek, though that usage of the quote cuts out the reference to Horatio's name. Here we see a tombstone with J. Scott Forever on it. Who is J. Scott? This is possibly a nod to Stephen J. Scott, the visual effects artist who worked on TNG and DS9. And right here you can spot Tilly's to-do list on Burnham Station right when Michael approaches her on the bridge. She has 19 unread messages, and you can spot her command training program checklist that shows she still needs to study for the exam. Also, Tilly went to Musk Junior High School in 2247, perhaps named after Elon Musk? Next up, Stamets says this to Tilly.
Astromycology has taught me that nothing is ever truly gone. Fungi are the universe's recyclers. This is how termination begets creation. It's why life is eternal.
This leads us to wonder if Culber could somehow return to Discovery. Now, it might have something to do with the green spore that landed on Tilly last season. This may also have to do with her old friend May. Also, actor Wilson Cruz was on hand to promote Discovery Season 2 at San Diego Comic-Con last year and said he was coming back, though he didn't say how. We highly doubt Cruz would show up at con only to be in a few seconds of Stamets' old FaceTime messages in the premiere.
You only do it for me, but I do love it when you only do things for me.
Finally, let's end this video on the Iconians. While there's still a possibility of a misdirection at play, the clues are piling up that the red burst signals might have to do with the Iconians. The first clue was the red signal came from the Beta Quadrant. While the precise location of Iconia was lost until 2365, the Iconians' home planet was located, yes you guessed it, in the Beta Quadrant. Next, the images displayed on the church stained glass looks mighty similar to the Iconians' look in the Star Trek Online game. Lastly, this episode mirrors the TNG classic Who Watches the Watchers in more ways than one. In the TNG episode, Picard was extremely fearful that any form of human interference on Mintaka 3 would set back the pre-industrial race to an age of religious belief.
And without guidance, that religion could degenerate into inquisitions, holy wars, chaos.
Horrifying.
Now, with a few exceptions, religion on Trek is usually seen as the result of ignorance, fraud by alien influence, or both. And it seems we can chalk up Terra Elysium to heavy alien influence from the Iconians. Why did the Iconians transport humans during World War III to the new planet in the Beta Quadrant? And why are they leading the crew of the Discovery from one rescue mission to another? Let us know what you think they're up to in the comments section down below. And be sure to click that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our next breakdowns. Let us know what you thought of New Eden in the comments section down below.